Yes, how did the people following a National Socialist not see it coming? Remember when Trump went on stage to address the people and called all of his opponents existential threats to America? The fact remains that Donald Trump has openly said that he is fighting socialism, and went out of his way to stop big government. It was Brandon who called Trump and the MAGA Republicans an existential threat to America. Sorry, Brandon, but the problem is not your age. The problem is your utter senility. Since President Trump can string 2 sentences together, and you cannot, he is more qualified than you will ever be. Let me break this babble down a bit. He has a very different notion of the Judeo-Christian God than what is shown in Scripture. That alone would be enough to discount everything else that he says. But let us give him the benefit of the doubt. Like having armed guards and teachers to protect the children, or banning guns everywhere so that only criminals have guns. I do not know much about Sudan, but I do know that the war in Gaza was a result of Hamas launching missiles from playgrounds, and not returning the hostages that they took for no reason. And the situation with oligarchs taking land happened under Obama and Brandon, not under the watch of President Trump. There's no need to stop a problem that does not exist. With the impeachment and being a felon, those are relative based on who is in charge of being the persecutor. With sexual impurity as a whole, I think that Abraham, Samson, David, Samuel, the woman at the well, and the man in the Corinthian church would all like to have a word with you. And I never get an answer on this one. What has President Trump actually done to be called a dictator? Mr. Rogers just loves to babble. Let me break Mr. Bowling's gibberish down a bit. Well, he should not be paid if he is not working. That is how having a job works. Unless you are Joe Biden. If you need protective clothing or hazard pay to protect you from the common cold, you do not even need to be outside. Also, just bring your magic mask that stops all hazards to your health. If you want to get tested for the common cold every time that you enter a hospital, go ahead. The rest of us just want to live our lives. Again, Lucky Ducky could have just worn his magic mask. And if he needs to be on a ventilator after contracting the common cold, he should not be outside. Mr. Rogers just loves his gibberish. Let me break Miss Sorensen's drivel down a bit. There are also the euphemisms of women's health or reproductive freedom. Democrats do not want any restrictions on abortion. After all, like Governor Northam, they would probably have no qualms against killing a child that was born. So killing the child punishes the rapist? How? Let us say that the mother keeps the child. Then one day when the child is 5, she has a flashback to that tragic event. Would it be acceptable to kill the child then? Of course not. Because you cannot justify killing a child in the womb or in your house. Well done, Mr. Vance. Those pills exist to kill children. Maybe if the Democrats stopped wanting to kill children, this would not be an issue. Yes, this has consequences that could backfire, but let us look at what Ms. Sorensen is referencing. If someone has killed a child, the police need to know so that the killer can be prosecuted. That is how things have worked and how we stop future murders. Miss Sorensen just loves her drivel. As I said a few minutes ago, the problem is not Brandon's age. The problem is Brandon's senility and his inability to string a sentence together. Since President Trump has all of his wits about him and is able to string a whole paragraph together, Mr. Mark Stein is comparing apples to oranges. I'm still wanting to know what President Trump did that made him a dictator. I will wait as long as it takes. Meanwhile, he did not spy on or try to shut down his opponents in the media, target his political opponents with fake news, or say that his supporters need to use violence in any way against his opposition. In short, he may not have been a gentleman, but he certainly was not a dictator. Even if the United States and the rest of the Western world shut down every use of fossil fuels, it would not make a difference because of China and India. Either way, the use of these fuels has raised the standard of living in the third world, where they previously burned animal dung. I am for the option that raises the standard of living for the poor. Either way, the people that are complaining about fossil fuels are the same ones that stand against nuclear energy, which is safe and reliable. Furthermore, the predictions of global warming extremists have failed over and over and over again. Meanwhile, let us bulldoze all of the trees to put up a windmill farm that will only occasionally work.